I haven't done a news story recently, although there's always lots of possible candidates, but instead of just reporting on a story, I want to talk more about the story behind the story, and most of the time there just isn't that much depth to be found. This time though, in the story of the Rowan, Kentucky County Clerk Kim Davis, who refused to issue marriage licenses to gay couples because of her religious views, there's a lot more to talk about than just her refusal to deal with reality. Of course, Davis isn't the only one out there who has refused to issue gay marriage licenses since the recent Supreme Court decision, but all of the other cases that we've seen or talked about have resulted in people voluntarily leaving their jobs because they were morally unable to continue to do them. Such was the case of the entire staff at a Tennessee court clerk's office resigning from their jobs because they refused to provide licenses to gay couples. Now, I think their reasons for doing so are asinine and irrational, but at least they had the good sense to step down voluntarily rather than fight to disrupt their offices. So, to Gwen Pope, Sharon Bell, and Mickey Butler, while I don't agree with you, I certainly salute you. But in Kentucky, not only did Kim Davis not want to issue marriage licenses to gays on religious grounds, she refused to step aside so that someone who could respect the Supreme Court decision could. In fact, not only would she not do it, she ordered her assistants not to do it either, and this is where she really crossed the line. It's entirely one thing to refuse to act on religious or moral grounds, it's another thing to order others not to perform their duties either. You might not like doing what is legal, but you certainly can't stop something that is legal from taking place, and that's exactly what Davis has done. As such, she was charged with contempt of court, and the judge ordered her incarcerated until she was willing to comply with the terms of her office. She couldn't simply be terminated because she was an elected official, and could only be removed either by public recall or official expulsion by the state legislature, neither of which was likely to occur. The people in her area agreed with her stance, and the legislature would never act for fear of losing political power and re-election. However, whether these people like it or not, they don't get to just ignore federal laws and constitutional rights. They couldn't just vote people in who would refuse to provide wedding licenses to black couples, for instance, or to mixed-faith couples. They can't just decide that in their little corner of religious stupidity, they're just going to ignore the Supreme Court. So the judge had to put Kim Davis away. He could have chosen to impose a fine, but there were so many religious zealots nationwide who were willing to step forward and pay any fine that she might incur, that this would not pressure her to either change her mind and do the job that she had been elected to do, or to voluntarily step down and allow someone else more willing to do the job to be elected. Even the mayor in her town acknowledges that she has no foot to stand on in this case. She took an oath of office that does not allow her to simply refuse to do her job, and certainly not to order everyone else to refuse to do their jobs as well. However, and I'm sure everyone could see this coming, you get the crazies on the religious right screaming that this is religious persecution against Christians. But nothing could be further from the truth. Holding particular sectarian views does not allow you to opt out of your social responsibilities, and especially not of your duties that you swore an oath to uphold. She is guilty, pure and simple, but that doesn't stop anyone from whining about how unfair it is that her religion isn't the end-all be-all of reality. But this is something that we see all the time these days, as the religious right are learning that they no longer enjoy the political and social power that they once held. Religion, especially in small towns in the South, held immense power and control over the people. You either bowed to their whims, or they could see you ruined, socially, politically, and financially. However, as society has moved farther and farther away from religion, as mainstream religious churches have hemorrhaged members more and more as the years go on, as these people realize that there's no reason to believe this religious nonsense anymore, the few strong believers left have realized, much to their own terror, that they just don't have the ability to order everyone around them to do as they wish. Therefore, they've moved to an endless cry of religious persecution, because it's just not fair that they have complete equality in the public court of ideas, and, as has become painfully obvious to them, they are losing. Badly. Now, Kim Davis has already lost her fight. In fact, she's desperately trying to compromise with the courts. Her latest attempt is that she will allow gay marriage licenses to be issued if she doesn't have to put her name on them, but she has really lost any effective bargaining position. She's already in jail, where she will remain until she either gives in entirely or steps down from her position. The court has no reason whatsoever to compromise their position at all. This isn't a matter of forcing Kim Davis to violate her religious moral convictions. It has to do with holding her legally accountable for the oath of office that she gave, an oath that doesn't change just because her religious beliefs suddenly no longer allow her to do the job for which she is being paid $80,000 a year for. However, there are a lot of people who are attacking her personally for her looks and her weight, and that is certainly not called for. It doesn't really matter in the current case, and is certainly crass and rude, and ought to be decried by everyone. The same may not be true of pointing out her moral hypocrisy, that she's been married 4 times to 3 different men, and that her children were not the children of the man that she was married to at the time of their conception. Certainly, there's a lot to consider there, but since her current religious beliefs were not adopted until 2011, long after any of these things happened, I think it's questionable just how valid these points really are. In fact, I think they cloud the issue, which is a woman not doing her job that she was elected to do and for which she swore an official and legally binding oath to uphold the Constitution and faithfully perform the duties of her office. This isn't religious discrimination. This is political incompetence. Let's call it what it actually is. To do otherwise gives the religious ammunition in the ridiculous crusade to regain their former political power. To Kim Davis, your choice here is simple. Either set aside your religious beliefs and do the job that you swore to do, or step down and walk away. You have to decide which one, your religion or your job, is more important to you and act accordingly. You don't get to just decide that the standards and the laws don't apply to you. As it says in Mark 12:17, render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's. The secular government position that you were elected to perform, that you guaranteed with your oath that you would execute, is what Jesus called you to render because Caesar calls for it. You are refusing to do what Jesus says. I guess that proves that not only are you a piss-poor county clerk, you're a piss-poor Christian as well. Thanks for tagging along. Hopefully you enjoyed my take on the issue, but if you didn't, by all means, let me know in the comments below. As always, like, subscribe, and share. Let people know via Twitter and Tumblr and Facebook and Google+, if you think that they should come and watch my videos. People just don't know if there's anything out in YouTube land worth watching if nobody points it out, and I appreciate all the people who have spread the word. If you have any other news stories that you think I should respond to, by all means, let me know. There have been so many really great stories sent in that I never would have seen otherwise, and I really appreciate my fans, and I hope they continue to do so. Also, let me know what you think of the new look. I'm playing around with a couple things, and if you have any suggestions or comments, let me know that as well. So until we meet again, farewell, and thank you all.